Welcome friends to the 2024 Honda Ridgeline review. Let's first go through these trim levels, then we can go over what's new for the 2024 model year, and I'll get into the drive, the interior space, and towards the end of this video I will share with you how you can save $5,000 off the MSRP on a brand new 2024 Ridgeline. Actually, maybe even more than $5,000, but I'm going to save that for the end. Okay, regarding trim levels, you have four to choose from. We have the base model Sport, then we have the RTL, which is the model that I recommend. We also have the Trailsport, which is what I'm driving right now, and at the top we have the Black Edition. I like the RTL model because it comes with essentially everything that you need. Now regarding the safety tech, they do give you the useful ones as standard, like blind spot monitoring, the forward collision warning, lane departure. You get all of these safety tech features as standard. However, with the base model Sport, you don't get the parking sensors. You have to step up to the RTL model and above to get front and rear parking sensors. Something else to keep in mind regarding the Sport base model is you don't get the acoustic windshield. You only get the acoustic windshield once again when you step up to the RTL and above. But all Ridgelines come standard with the excellent 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine with 280 horsepower and 262 pounds-feet of torque. It's mated to the 9-speed automatic, and you also get Honda's torque vectoring all-wheel drive system as standard. Okay, the rest of the trim level changes I will talk about throughout the video, and I will also now transition over into what's new for the 2024 model year. All Ridgelines for this new model year get a larger center armrest, so you have more space here. And they've given us this 9-inch touchscreen as standard across the board, and it comes with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and you also get a wireless charging pad, all as standard for 2024. But the best part about this infotainment screen is they put a faster processor in it, so it's going to react a lot quicker to your touch inputs. Finally, the last big change in 2024 is going to be the introduction of this Trailsport model that I'm testing here. Essentially, what you get with this Trailsport is a unique front grille, some Trailsport badges, off-road tuned suspension, along with all-terrain general grabber tires and steel underbody protection. That's what you get with the Trailsport model. And with the inside, you're going to get these black leather seats with the Trailsport logo stitched onto the headrest, and you also get Trailsport rubber floor mats with this model. And that's it. That's everything that's new for the 2024 model year. Now let's go ahead and let's get into the drive. All right, I talked about that 3.5 liter V6, but check this out. We have your VTEC. It's a real treat to enjoy this motor. And a lot of people in the past, they would complain about the 9-speed automatic. However, in this application of the Ridgeline, the 9-speed has, for the most part, been pretty great. Especially in the automatic mode, when you just put in regular drive, the vehicle shifts perfectly for both calm city driving, where you're chauffeuring people around, but also when you drive it more aggressively, this vehicle will downshift for you. So if you want to drive it more aggressively, there you go. You can still enjoy driving the Ridgeline. And there's also a sport mode that you can put it into, where it'll essentially put you into a lower gear and it'll hang on to the gears for a longer period of time. The only real drawback to the transmission is when you put it in sport and you try to utilize these paddle shifters, the paddles are a little lethargic to react to your input. So that's kind of a downer. Now the torque vectoring all-wheel drive system, that is not a downer. That is tuned really well. This all-wheel drive system can send up to 70% of the power to the rear wheels, and once the power is sent to the rear wheels, it can send 100% of that power to either the left or the right rear wheel. That benefits you in off-road driving, and also out on the street you have a lot of confidence. This vehicle is putting down its power really nicely, and it really is good power because Car and Driver, they tested the Ridgeline to do 0 to 60 in 6 seconds flat. That's pretty proper. And this vehicle genuinely does feel quick in the real world. But again, not just when you're putting your foot down to the floor, but also when you're half throttle and you're driving it calmly, you have that effortless surge of power to get you up to speed, to get you up to the speed limit at a brisk pace. So powertrain, all-wheel drive system, all of that is great. And yeah, the handling here is good because we have this unibody construction and we have independent suspension all around. So we have the strut-based suspension in the front and we have multi-link rear suspension. And the main advantage to this setup is to allow the Ridgeline to drive better than its body-on-frame counterparts, right? And this is true. This is a great handling machine for what it is. However, I will say this is a little bit more clumsy than the Honda Pilot or the Honda Passport. Okay, those SUV products are a little bit more dialed in and a little bit sharper to drive. Not that it matters, I'm just bringing it up so you know the difference between the Ridgeline and the SUVs that Honda has to offer. In fact, the only real con I've noticed driving the Ridgeline is at higher speeds out on the highway. This vehicle is persuaded by the wind a little bit more than it should be. I expected this Honda product to be a bit more planted, but it is getting swayed by the wind a little bit more. It's not terrible. It's not like a Jeep Wrangler or anything. I'm just saying, once again, this is the advantage that the SUV counterparts have. They feel a lot more stable. But you do not have a ridiculous amount of body roll. You know, this chassis, it is well tuned. So if you want to push the Ridgeline on some back roads, you can definitely enjoy it. And as you can see, this engine is really rev happy. It is easy to get into that VTEC power band, right? 5,000 plus RPM. This will easily rev up to that. But enough about these dynamic type things. Let's move on to the ride quality and the refinement. So the ride is good. We have here the Trailsport with the off-road tuned suspension, but fortunately the vehicle does still ride good out on the road. In fact, I could probably even air down these tires a little bit more and have it ride a bit better because the tire pressure is slightly higher than what it needs to be, but temperatures are pretty warm now, so that's kind of why the tire pressure has gone up. Anyway, the only thing is these General Grabber all-terrain tires, they're not quite as smooth as the Continental all-terrain tires that the Honda Pilot Trailsport had. I was really spoiled by those tires. They genuinely just felt like regular all-season tires. So I wish they would have used those Continentals on this Ridgeline, but it's okay. These General Grabber tires, they're still reasonably smooth out on the road. It's just you get this subtle tire hum. This Ridgeline driving experience would be a lot smoother if you just got a regular version of it. Just skip the Trailsport. Okay, you just get the RTL that I recommend with regular suspension, with regular all-season tires. It's going to be an even smoother and even more comfortable driving experience. Now, the Trailsport is okay. Like, let's say if you live somewhere with gravel roads or you have a long gravel driveway, then the Trailsport could make sense because the suspension is tuned to give you a more supple ride in off-road conditions. So you know who you are. If you can take advantage of this setup, then go ahead. But for 99% of the people, you're better served by going with the regular Ridgeline models. The good news is, no matter which trim level you go with, they made the 18-inch wheels as standard. So even if you go to the top where you get the black edition, even that's going to come with 18-inch wheels. And as mentioned before, the RTL models and up get the acoustic windshield, and wind noise is pretty well contained for the most part. So overall, this is a rather refined package. I mean, when you're just driving this around, it feels like you're driving a Honda Pilot or a Honda Passport, something along those lines. There's nothing truckish about it. I feel like a lot of people shopping in the truck market are overlooking this when the reality is the Ridgeline is what most people actually need. But it's kind of an obscure product. Nobody really thinks about the Ridgeline when they shop for a truck. But Honda claims that the Ridgeline sales have gone up over 20% as of recently. So I believe last year in 2023, they sold about 52,000 of these trucks. So that is impressive. The awareness for this product is going up. More people are considering and buying this truck. So that's good, because as we're about to see, there's a lot of practical advantages that the Ridgeline has to offer over the body-on-frame competition. But yeah, just quickly finishing up the drive here. It's a smooth experience. It's easy to place out on the road. You can easily bust a U-turn in this. The refinement is good. However, the refinement can improve if you go with the models that I recommend. Skip this Trailsport and skip the all-terrain tires, and you should be good to go. The other good thing about the Ridgeline is it gets really good real-world fuel economy. So the official EPA numbers is like 18 city, 24 highway, or 23 highway if you go with this Trailsport. And you can easily beat those numbers. I've been getting 19, 20 in the city, and you can get 25, 26 out on the highway. When you go with this Trailsport model, there isn't a lift or anything with this truck. You still have the same approximate 7.6 inch ground clearance as the rest of the models. I feel like it's these all-terrain tires that's probably lowering the highway fuel efficiency. But regardless, that's everything you need to know regarding the Ridgeline and its driving dynamics. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the interior space now. Okay, now that we are stopped, let's go ahead and talk about this interior space. Overall, we have a pretty solid cabin. There's nothing creaking or rattling in here. There's nothing exciting going on. It is a pretty plain and generic looking interior space, but that's okay because everything here is functional. I love the new 9-inch infotainment screen. This is what you get with the rest of the Honda lineup, and it works great. It looks pretty good, and it's simple to use. And with the faster processor, there's pretty much no lag with this screen. And of course, the wireless Apple CarPlay, the wireless Android Auto, that makes your life a lot easier. And there's no wires you need to mess with because you also have a wireless charging pad. Now this front area here, it can house 2 smartphones. So right next to the wireless charger, you can also place another phone. You also have a small cubby space on top where you can perhaps put a wallet. But I love how you have separate climate control with physical buttons and switches. All right, and they've also given us a 7-inch digital gauge cluster. However, it's really interesting how they did it. The speedometer is analog. However, the tach and the center screen portion there, all of that is digital, and that's also easy to use. The steering wheel here has nice perforations on the side, feels great to grip onto, and it's one of those thinner steering wheels, so it's just easy to whip the Ridgeline around. And towards the left, you have a Econ button and some safety tech buttons, which you can turn on and off, especially the lane keeping assist. That's super annoying in this truck. So the lane keep assist defeat button is towards the left. You have automatic windows only for the front 2 windows, and we don't have here like double pane glass, but fortunately this glass is reasonably thick. You do have 2-way memory seats here with this Trailsport. Door pockets have a interesting design to it, pretty practical. And Honda mentioned the larger center armrest, and it is good. There's plenty of space inside. The glove box is okay, and these seats are comfortable as well. I do appreciate these Trailsport seats. You do have some lumbar support. We have a sunroof here. We have a place to put your sunglasses. And now I want to talk about the audio system because there's some confusion regarding this. There's 2 different Honda websites. You have the consumer website, and we also have the journalist press media websites that journalists like me can use to study up on these cars before we make these videos. And on the journalist spec sheet, it says that only the top of the line Black Edition comes with the upgraded 8-speaker 540 watt sound system, and the rest of the models get a 7-speaker system with approximately 200 watts of power. But if you go to the consumer website, which is the more important one, that's the one that the general public uses, it says that the Trailsport and the Black Edition both come with the upgraded 8-speaker 540 watt sound system. So which one is correct? Well, it seems like the journalist website is correct because this Trailsport, when I counted, we only have 6 speakers plus the subwoofer. So this seems to be the 7-speaker lower end 200 watt system. I really hate it when car companies are ambiguous or they just screw up these press releases because it just brings a lot of confusion to us, the journalists, and to you, the consumer. Now, most people probably haven't even noticed this because they don't take these regular car reviews seriously, but this is important, and it sucks that the consumer website is wrong, because that's what most people use. Fortunately though, this 7-speaker unit, which is 6 speakers plus a sub, so that's how you get the 7, it sounds decent. It's not complete trash. Don't get me wrong, it's not great either, but it certainly gets the job done. This is like the bare minimum that I can tolerate when it comes to an audio system. So this is not bad. And it's good because I recommend the RTL model, which is going to come with the same audio system. And this is decent. However, I really don't like the way Honda forces you to get the top trim level to get the best audio system. But fortunately, this sounds decent. But now let's go ahead and let's move on to the rear seats. So with the Ridgeline, we don't have like acres of rear legroom, but it is okay. I am 5'11". I can certainly sit behind myself, but I'm not like stretching out back there by any means. The seat backs are soft, so you can kind of dig your knees into them, but the seats continue to be comfortable back there. You also have air vents in the rear, and like with most truck products, you can fold up the rear seats so you can use it as storage. But the best part about the Ridgeline compared to most other trucks is the ergonomics. Like getting in and out of this truck, it's so much easier. For most people, you're not going to need a side step or a ladder or anything like that. You can just slide your tush in here and almost anyone can comfortably get in and out of the Ridgeline. So that's one of the biggest pros regarding this. It's literally like driving around in a SUV, like a Passport or a Pilot. Now let's move on to the bed. So we have a 5'3" bed with a very special tailgate. So it can drop down like a regular tailgate, but it can also swing out to the side to have easier access. And this is useful if you need to load up something heavy or to access the separate trunk that they have. So you have a 7.3 cubic feet trunk area, if you will. And it's also got a drain plug to let water out. But yeah, that's definitely a deep storage area, and you also have a spare tire located there as well. So I appreciate how they really thought of everything with this Ridgeline, because products like this, I mean, a pickup truck, it's going to have its natural compromises. However, Honda is trying to reduce those compromises as much as possible. Once again, it's not perfect. Like the physical bed area, even though the length is good, the height of the bed isn't that high, and a lot of that has to do with the composite bed that they're using, so you don't need like a separate spray and bed liner. That's good. And another advantage that the Ridgeline bed has compared to most body on frame trucks is like those wheel wells aren't intruding inside of the rear bed. It is a little bit, but it's really subtle. And fortunately, Honda claims that you can put 4-foot wide items and lay it flat in the Ridgeline bed. So things like drywall and plywood, you can lay that down flat, anything that's 4 foot wide. And regarding payload, we have here over 1,500 pounds of payload. There are certain luxury full-size trucks that don't even offer 1,500 pounds of payload capacity. So everyone mocks and scoffs the Ridgeline for not being a quote-unquote real truck, but the capabilities of this vehicle is rather high, especially for what it is. I've noticed that the Ford products have the most amount of capability, usually the most amount of payload and towing capacities, whether it's the Ranger or the F-150. That's just something I noticed, but I am quite pleased with what the Ridgeline has to offer on paper. And they also gave you like tie-down cleats throughout the bed, and those have a 350-pound capacity. The tailgate itself, if you lay it down, it has a 300-pound capacity. And once you lay that tailgate down, you have approximately 7 feet of bed area to work with, so you can load up motorcycles, ATVs, etc. And all of the Ridgelines can tow 5,000 pounds. And with that established, let's go ahead and let's conclude. Okay, concluding thoughts on the Honda Ridgeline. Personally, I'm a big fan of this vehicle. I think this is the truck that most people need, but they overlook it. This Ridgeline is so easy to live with on a day-to-day basis. It's comfortable to get in and out of. You have a lot of useful standard features, so it comes well equipped. And if you go with that RTL model, once again, you're just getting more useful things like sunroof, heated seats, etc. The lower end audio system isn't bad. The overall interior cabin, it's well put together. Seats are comfortable. The V6 engine, it's really quick, and for once the 9-speed automatic is tuned and calibrated really well in regular automatic mode. I wasn't a huge fan of the paddle shifters, but in regular auto, this performs great. You have great fuel economy, and you can also put regular fuel in the Ridgeline. They did all that they could to make this practical regarding the bed. We have that separate trunk area, you have the composite bed, you have the tie down cleats. Now, a lot of people are going to say if you have the bed loaded up with things, it could be difficult to access things in that secondary trunk. However, that's what I'm saying. There's pros and cons to everything in this market. But overall, I feel like this is providing a family with what they're really going to need, for a casual Home Depot run, buying things for the house, buying some appliances, right? More heavy duty items. You can put it in the bed of this Ridgeline instead of renting a truck from Lowe's or Home Depot. You got your Ridgeline. It's an excellent secondary vehicle for a family, and even as an only car, this is still a good daily driver, even if it's going to be your only vehicle in the family. So honestly, compared to most other trucks, I would consider the Ridgeline. The only other thing is we do have the new Hyundai Santa Cruz, and that vehicle is a more luxurious driving experience compared to the Ridgeline. It's super quiet, easily the quietest quote-unquote truck in its class, but the bed is smaller. It's not quite as practical as the Ridgeline, in my opinion. Plus, it's a Hyundai. Not everyone wants to deal with those dealerships and the mishaps when it comes to their various engines and drivetrains. So there is that. Most people, they trust Honda, so there you have it. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, here's how you can save on new Ridgelines. You can reach out to a broker by the name of AutoCompanion. He's one of the largest brokers in the United States, and he is offering $5,000 off of MSRP on a Ridgeline RTL, which is the exact trim level that I recommend. So those RTLs, they go for around 44 grand. Take $5,000 off, you're at $39,000. However, there are various incentives that you can qualify for, like loyalty or conquest, or even a dealer incentive of $500. So you can potentially take another $1,000 to $1,500 off the MSRP. So you're effectively taking $6,000 to $6,500 off the MSRP of a new Ridgeline RTL. That is a substantial saving. And the other thing I like is we have excellent lease deals as well. So I appreciate how much Honda is incentivizing these products. AutoCompanion also has a free leasing calculator, which I'm going to have linked in the description box below. This is a powerful tool because it shows you the residual value of a lease, the interest rate of the lease, and the incentives that you can qualify for in your local zip code. And payments on this, if you have perfect credit and you're doing a no money down lease, you can lease this for about $400 a month. That is really great, and a lot of that has to do with the relatively low interest rate. It's about 3.1% as of right now, April of 2024. Leasing programs change every month, and AutoCompanion's calculator will update every month. So if you love the Ridgeline and you want to buy this vehicle out at the end of the lease, you can absolutely do that. You will actually have built a good amount of equity during your lease period, and you can even save more on the interest of that lease if you wanted to. If you have cash and you're doing like a one-pay lease, that's something you can ask AutoCompanion about. And if you want to work with him, he's located in Washington, D.C. He can help you to ship the vehicle, and that's something you have to pay for, or you can pick up at D.C., but he does charge a broker fee. If you sign up with my affiliate link in the description box below, he will take some money off of that broker fee. So hopefully you appreciated this knowledge and these resources. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, because I try to provide my audience with more value than the generic car reviews from the mainstream media. But that's everything I wanted to cover. Thank you so much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye.